Welcome to Breaking the Line. I'm Samuel.
And I'm Charleton.
And this is our new podcast.
Our original idea is that we have a podcast where we talk about mime choreography and kind of just discuss it amongst ourselves.
Right? So Breaking the Line is a deep dive into the art of mime choreography. Talk about mime songs that we've done through the past, looking at other people's choreography. Yeah.
Yep. And so a little bit about ourselves. My name is Charleton Mills. I've been doing mime since the fall of 2008. So as of this date right now, it would be about 15 years. And
wow, you're old.
I know, guys. I've been doing mime for over half of my life at this point because I'm 28, and if I've been doing it for about 15 years, even if I'm doing it for 14 years,
half your life.
Half my life right now.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Anyways, I started with the AIM Branson team under Tess Bloyer, and she's an amazing leader, amazing mime, amazing woman. Like, I appreciate her highly. And through my relationship with mime, I've also been able to build relationships with other people, including this lug over here, who I got to meet through leadership conference back in the day.
Yeah, what was it, 2009 that we met?
I think it was 09. Yeah.
Yeah. So leadership conference in Branson around April time, and I remember seeing this weird guy with a mullet. And I had a mullet too.
Yeah.
So we had to, get to know each other really well.
Yeah, we bonded over mullets.
Yeah.
Yep. And so my life has kind of been, I would say, taken in a different direction solely because of mime.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a funny thing like that. Right now I'm handling the digital mime. I've also been helping with various mime teams. Right now I'm helping out with a team here in Kansas in Rose Hill. And in the future, I'm going to be helping out with Samuel and his team. I'm going to see how this all goes.
Yep. Charleton also interned with our team during the pandemic, 2020, near the fall session. So a lot of the people from our team know him, and we're looking forward to having him back in San Diego at some point and doing mime stuff. I'm Samuel Hughes. I've been doing mime for 24 years. So almost 3/4 of my life. It's old. It's really bad. I started when I was 8. I was on a junior mime team when my older siblings, Rosalie and Stuart, had been doing the older team, San Diego Youth in Action. Around 2003, we multiplied from 2 teams because we had like 33 people on stage at one time. So we multiplied into 2 teams because it was growing a lot. And a lot of people from our church who were public school wanted to join, but our practice times didn't accommodate that. So we originally met in the evenings to accommodate. So our team already had like an extra 10 people join as soon as we branched off with our church team. That team we called Aim for Faith. Around 2006, 7-ish, we changed it to just AIM San Diego. We were officially AIM San Diego West at that time. And been the directors of our team since 2013, I want to say, officially on the books. Around 2010, I was assistant director and helping with a lot of things, but slowly made the transition from my mom, who was the director at that time, Linda Stafford being the director before that. But you may have Tess, but I have all of Tess's students. So I got Stuart and Rosalie, who are already there, Andrew and Jenny, who are the other ones I'm thinking of. Those were the OGs.
Did you ever have Lorianne?
Lorianne, kind of. She was in different states and all whatnot, but who was the other one I'm thinking of? The Sims, Aaron and Megan Sims now. No, we had plenty of people who taught me the mime art. Yeah. Especially the art of flags is kind of a thing that I have kind of owned and created and redone.
His staple.
Yeah, that's definitely my realm. If you wanted the mime technique side, he's much better at that. I'm much better at the flags. So that's our specialties. We both choreographed a handful of songs. Both of us have, because of our directorship, re-choreographed and edited songs and taught in a lot of ways. So we had a lot of experience. What is that? 15 plus 24, so almost 40 years of experience between us. We're bringing it to the table. We're basically, Mythbusters.
Yeah, we're the Mythbusters of mime.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I was telling him, basically, if there were any 2 people who were fangirls of mime and had maybe even the expertise and credentials to do it, and we're just crazy enough to actually do a podcast, it would be us. There are maybe a couple other people who do it, but I mean, let's be honest, it would probably be us.
Well, which digital mime, how many videos do you have up? 400 something?
I have over 400 videos.
Many of them are tech videos.
Yeah, bunch of tech videos, bunch of mime songs.
I'd say about 62 or so of them are flag videos that we worked on together, but I did most of the flags for. But still, lots of mime content there. And then the AIM San Diego page, we got 100 or something videos as well that we've done throughout the years of different teams we had since we started doing a recording day back in 2014. So almost, 10 years in for those? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We should explain Breaking the Line, the name of the podcast. There's this myth. It's a total myth. It's a lie,
it's
really.
A lie. It's wrong.
Mimes talk if they break their blackout line. It's a lie. It's not true, but it did happen in some places that were looser.
in the Kansas sort of region of mime, especially with the mime camp that went on, it became kind of an accepted modern mime tradition. So it's not traditional mime tradition. It's modern mime tradition. That if you took off any part of your glove, so like a lot of mimes would take off their thumb or whatever, they could speak. If they didn't have their full outfit on, they could speak. And if their makeup specifically wasn't fully finished, they could speak. Which means that if you broke your line and you thus got rid of part of your makeup, then it wasn't complete. Thus you could speak.
Yeah. So on our team, the rule was, once your finger touches the white, you're not talking. Like any part. Like we didn't care about the clothing. It was like touch a white, that's when you're done talking.
Yeah, that's basically how it was, except even more so, I'd say, like, with the exception of, your bottom half. Once you put on a mime shirt or you put on any mime makeup at all, it was lights out.
Yeah.
You were knocked out.
But anyway, because this is a podcast of talking mimes, we figured it was an appropriate title. Yeah. We are breaking the line so we can talk to you about the choreography and have some fun along the way. So anyway, the Breaking the Line is talking about education for new choreographers. If you are somebody who's trying to choreograph songs or has ideas for things, maybe these conversations will help you. If not, then maybe you just want to listen to us reminisce about old mime songs and who choreographed what and kind of the history of how things developed. And I don't know. If you're interested in listening to two mime nerds talk about the history of what we've done over the last 15 to 20 years, then this podcast is for you.
Yep. And every once in a while, our plan is to kind of branch out. Well, I would say maybe 90% of our podcasts are going to be like, we're going to take one video, we're going to break it down, look at different aspects of it. We're going to try and like any backstories that we're able to have, especially if there's songs that we choreographed that we break down, we can kind of talk about some backstory and also give some insight into like, well, this is what they did well. This is what we would think that they could do better to kind of help people. Like we said, we're helping new choreographers try to get a grip on what that looks like. Because I mean, mime is subjective. It's a type of art, which means that there's no one way to do it. And because of that, we're trying to give insight into what goes well, what doesn't, and help people along the way. Every once in a while, when we will branch off from that 90% and we'll move into kind of our 10% of doing another topic. Technically, this video right now is actually an alternate topic. This is our intro video. But in the future, we'll probably talk about other topics such as props and the limitations of mime and so on and so forth in order to branch off of mime choreography specifically and instead look at an issue that would be prevalent in mime.
Mm. Yeah, so that as you're choreographing your own song, it's not just listening to how we did one song, but maybe how you consider a concept in general, like the use of props, and for instance, or different techniques or ideas of how songs would develop, or even just the concept of where you start when you're choreographing a song. To that end, some things that might help would be the terminology that we use. So we figured we'd cover a couple basic, not exhaustive, but a couple things. So when we say mime song or choreography, what do we mean by that, Charleton?
We don't mean, so there is a very important distinction. So you have mime song, and then you have the song, and then you have the music. Yeah. Those are all very similar terms, and we can get them mixed up. So when we say mime song, we mean the whole of the mime choreography, the mime actions that are done on stage, put to music to portray a gospel message. Mm-hmm. So when we say a mime song or the song just in short, that's usually what we mean. Now, when we say the music, we usually are differentiating the choreography separate from the actual stuff that you listen to that goes into your ear holes. And so choreography then can also be ambiguous because, for example, doing signed songs or doing dances or doing just gestures, if you will, could be considered choreography. So this is the chorus choreography or, the main choreography of this. But that is also more specific than when we might say choreography in general, meaning the whole mime song. Mm-hmm. So we will try to make it as simple as possible. But long story short, if we say mime song, we mean the whole chunk, the whole nugget. And when we say choreography, we usually mean the whole nugget. And if you hear us say something specific that it's like, oh, well, this this part of the choreography or this choreography, and it doesn't seem like it's talking about the whole song, might not actually be talking about the whole song.
Right. So with that, one of the things that are part of the choreography are what we'd call as set pieces. If you think in movie terminology, if you think of the movie Frozen, and spoiler alert, if you haven't watched Frozen, I don't know who hasn't done that, but Frozen has a couple unique set pieces. One is that we want Elsa to have like this big giant frozen castle sequence, and then we want some betrayal and plot twist at the end of being betrayed by Anna's lover. Those are the main parts of the story arc that need to be carried. Maybe things could happen differently between, but those are the set parts of the song. So for us, when we do a mime song, we're talking about what are the main things that we need to see happen as we trace the storyline. Well, maybe those main things don't move, but the other things we could have gotten there differently. So we might differentiate with, well, if we want this to be the set piece, this is what needed to happen or need to be clear before we get there.
Yeah, a good example would be in most recent days, Witch's Invitation. My friend Alex and I, we created a mime song in 12 hours at mime camp just for fun because we were just messing around. And there's a part way at the very beginning of it, which I'll show a video. Reminder, Charleton. Look me in the eye, Charleton, and edit this in. A video of the original intro to Witch's Invitation.
Exactly.
So at the beginning of Witch's Invitation, Alex kind of comes in with a prissy dance because it was funny and we wanted to have just a really ridiculous cold open. Well, what Kaylee, the director of the Rose Hill mime team, did is she removed that entirely and instead made something that actually made sense, which was have the main character. Crazy,
Makes
right?
sense.
Makes sense. Yeah. Unbelievable. She actually had the main character open a door, walk out down the road, and do the whole white suburban dad thing of hello neighbor kind of thing, and it was ridiculous, but it was also it made sense, and I like that choreography better now.
Yeah.
So then he goes up to the mailbox, opens it up, and grabs his letter. So those two differentiations there are pretty important. However, there is no need for one over the other. Those aren't part of the set piece. Mm-hmm. The set piece instead is to get into the building to talk to Isaac Horowitz in that song. So the way that we get from point A to point B didn't matter as much as point B.
You needed him to open the letter at the mailbox, but the exact choreography could have changed between then and getting into the building.
Right, exactly.
Yep. Would you mind explaining the purpose and message of the song?
So we had a little discussion about how purpose and message to us mean different things. So to me, when I say the purpose of a song, I mean its function as far as an acted piece or a theatrical performance goes.
Yeah, we both have this philosophy that every single mime song should have a purpose. It should have a thing that it does that is unique from all other mime songs. There might be overlapping set pieces or ideas in there. Creation is often a big set piece in a lot of songs. But even when you show creation, you're probably not showing all the details. You're trying to say, what's the purpose of showing it in getting it to the next part? So how does the song function in the set of all of the mime songs that we have?
Yes. And so when I say, well, the purpose of this song is to be a good teaching song, or the purpose of this song is to be a room full of atheists. The purpose of this song would be to be basically a call to action for Christian audiences. Mm-hmm. Those are the kinds of things that when I present this song, I then have an audience in mind, and that function that then needs to be considered while choreographing the song. Whereas the message, on the other hand, I would say is there's a lot of overlap between purpose and message, because message is what does this, if you watch a mime song and I was to tell you to write 2 sentences on what this song was about, that would be what it was. So if we get a song like Courtroom and I ask you to write 2 sentences about Courtroom, what would you say?
That's basically what I'd say.
Okay. Yeah.
No.
Now, is there 2 ahs in the first sentence or in the second sentence?
I cheated and I used the 3rd sentence. I'm sorry. My homework. But I would say it's about a final judgment. What would I do if I was standing before God?
Yeah, and that's a very simple one. Now, if I was to ask you what the purpose is, who is the intended audience of Courtroom, it would be a different answer.
It would be.
And what would that be?
Well, it's either for the non-believer or it's for the believer, in the sense of the non-believer, what would be, if I were to be put in that shoes right now, kind of thinking about that question. And for believer, it'd be a message of hope. So it has kind of a dual purpose as far as the message, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it was good. And you notice the overlap there because we're still talking about the same song. So the message and the purpose then kind of go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So while they are distinct, we'll probably use them in overlapping ways a lot of times when we're talking about grading or rating the songs of like, how well did it fulfill communicating the purpose and the message? And some of those will overlap.
All right. So as far as these mime songs go, I have been doing the digital mime for, I think, 8 years now. It started out as a college project, and now I've been just doing it on and off because it's awesome.
It's also hopeful research. People in San Diego have used it a lot. And, if you're a mime team out there and somehow found this podcast randomly, then go look at these videos. They're
first
amazing.
of all, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, how'd you get here?
You're welcome to be here, I guess. But we also, because mime has gone on for a long time, like a lot of things aren't documented properly. Yep. And which is part of why I'm so passionate about this, is to kind of archive and bring together a bunch of just everything that's all over. So what ends up happening is I honestly don't know everything about every mime song. Amazing, right? Crazy. So we do have, we try to cite our sources as best as we can.
We'll probably get things wrong. If we get them wrong, just send us hate mail in the comments, and we'll try to add appendix size or whatever.
Yeah, make sure that you put it in all caps with at least 11, maybe 12 exclamation points.
Maybe an interrobang while you're there.
Yeah. Maybe like a heart emoji at the end too, just because.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll try to cite our sources and do our best we can on those things. But while you're down in the comments,
smash that Likescribe
if you want to get more podcasts like this.
Anyways,
yeah, hit the subscribe button if you want more of this kind of content. You're probably already subscribed. That's why you showed up in your random video.
I mean, if this is the first video, that's probably what's happening.
Exactly. But if you give it a like, it's a like that we will receive.
One like equals one like.
It's deep, man. All right. Any other disclaimers we should throw out there?
So on the opposite side, one thing that could be misconstrued is like, we are not the be all end all. We're not some gurus, some masters.
Yeah, not trying to pretend like they are.
And we're also trying not to be arrogant or break other people down. So our purpose is to critique the mime song choreography and like separate that from the choreographer, from the presenters, from anything else that might come into it. We are trying to critique specifically the mime song, the choreography. And whenever we talk about things, we don't want to diss the choreographers of these songs. For example, like Tess, my old director, utmost respect for this woman. I also don't like all of the songs that she's written. I know, crazy.
I know, whoa.
However, like she was kind of one of the forerunners, you could say, of mime. And so a lot of these, as time has gone on and as the art form has developed in its modern sense, things have changed. And I mean, that's good. That's a good thing. And so when we go on and talk about it, like, Tess, specifically for you, I love you. This isn't a diss on you.
No, but we recognize that a lot of the songs that are just older inherently have been modified, built upon, developed, or given cool like new features. And so in some ways we might look at the old songs and be like, wow, that's how we used to do things back in the day and how basic or whatever. But that's just also what we had. So we weren't doing crazy backflips on stage or crucifying Jesus on boxes or anything like extra. Right. It's just what it was. And everyone loved it at the time because that's what we knew. Mm-hmm. And so nothing against the older stuff inherently there. It's just a lot of it's going to be by some similar people.
Yeah. And it's also not a diss on the people who are presenting the songs.
Yeah, it's so hard to separate choreography from the actor themselves because it's so like tied together in mime, the art. But we recognize that sometimes we're going to say things like, we need a different technique here to make the storyline clear. And that wasn't the performer's fault. That's just part of the choreography that might help explain the storyline a little bit better. There might be other times we might mention like, oh, I can see what they're doing. Maybe the technique just needed to be done a little bit better. But that's not a diss on the person or the circumstance. A lot of these videos are live at presentations, and we recognize that lots of mistakes happen during presentations are live. So no like superiority complex here. We couldn't tell you how many mistakes we've made on stage, and we will definitely highlight a lot of those in our own songs just for making fun of our own selves.
I would say that I am my biggest
critic. Yeah,
I'm my biggest critic. When it comes to watching myself mime, like I hate it. Especially when like which one is it? The Fight Inside 4-person song.
Oh yeah.
Like I had like a day to learn it, and it's a really complicated part. And when I watch myself back, I'm like, man, can we just re-record this? Because I did so bad.
It is what it is. No, and it's just it'll come up a lot when, especially the San Diego songs. I'll be like, oh yeah, that person just learned the part they were substituting. Somebody got sick, and they just learned the Satan part. You know, it'll be what it is. But mime is subjective, so this is just our opinion, man. And you'll probably hear me say that a lot because I'm from California. My opinion, man. But we hope to have a fun time. So if we get things wrong, just tell us in the comments because it helps the YouTube algorithm. It also makes it a community thing. We're hoping to have guests on the podcast every once in a while. So if you are somebody who's choreographed a few songs or whatever, you can sit on the couch with us and talk about your song and all the story
and
with
we'll
it.
gladly berate you in your song.
Exactly. No, it'll be a fun time. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping to have. And hopefully this is helpful for you. But other than that, anything else?
I think that's it.
Cool.
So we'll see you in the next episode of Breaking the Line.
I'm Samuel.
And I'm Charleton.
Breaking the Line.